People, guess what? The game is not exactly like I thought it was. It's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Look, it wasn't even easy when I got started. Oh, when I got started. Oh, I was so excited. Just so excited. I just bubble was bubbling over. And because they told me it was going to be 40 hours. Oh man, I was like, man, I can do 40 hours with a snap. All I can do is just binge watch these videos and binge all this training so I can get my real estate license. So I binged. And it seems as though the videos got longer and longer. I binged. And then it looks like the test after each of the videos was getting longer and longer. I was like, oh man, I thought they said 40 hours. Then before you know it, it was 100 hours that I was putting in. It was 200 hours. It was 300 hours. It was 400 hours. It was 500 hours. It was 600 hours. And I think by the time that I got finished with the certificate program, I had at least did, and I can go check the record a little bit later, but I think I had at least put in at least about 700 or 800 hours at that time. And I had started the program. I can't remember exactly when I started, but I can check the record a little bit later. But right now I'm in the talk. But anyway, when I started the program, they gave me 6 months. Okay, the 6 months that I had to be able to finish this 40-hour real estate course, okay, before I could get my certificate. And then after I get my certificate, because you got to pass the course first to get the certificate before you can even take the exam. So what I did is I said, okay, all right. So guess what? I got the certificate in 2 months. I was 2 months in, had got my certificate. Okay, I'm 2 months in. I got this certificate. All right, it's time to go do that exam. You know what I'm saying? I had did those QBank quizzes and everything, and then I was like acing those quizzes with 90s and in 100s, and I was like, yeah, I got this. So I scheduled my exam right away. I wasn't able to take my exam right away, and after that 2 months, I couldn't get the exam going until 2 weeks later. Okay, then it was exam day. You know, I'm all happy and everything because I got this. But then when the exam day came and I sat down at the exam, I was ready. I knew everything. So I thought I knew everything. But anyway, after I sat down, I'm like, I don't remember this. I don't remember them going over this. It was like it was a total blank. I really didn't really know much of those things, a few of those things, and so then I had to do a little guessing game. You know what I'm saying? So I did a little guessing game or whatever, but I was completely baffled about the test. So anyway, by the time I got to the end of the test, my mind is already saying, I don't think I passed this test. Okay, so by the time I got my results, so the lady handed me my results, and I had failed by 10 points. Oh, I was completely devastated. Then I'm trying to go over in my mind, okay, what all do I need to try to go over so that I can think about how to do this test? Well, in the process of that, I end up realizing that there was a whole lot of other types of work in my package. And so what else was in my package, because I had did the Michigan, what I had noticed was in the online package that they gave me, they had the national. So I began to go through the whole national thing. I ended up going through all those videos, which that added a whole bunch of more hours. But then somewhere in that, when I was doing the national, I ended up finding out about the Q Bank. Okay, so while doing the national, and I made sure that I completed the national part, and I had already completed the 40-hour real estate course and got the certificate. So I did all of this national part, thinking that, okay, I'll do the national and I'll get this national certificate. But what I found out, there's no national certificate to receive. Okay, so when I ran into that thing about the Q Bank, okay. And I'm like, man, this Q Bank that they have here with all the questions that on the exam, I wish I had a note about the questions that was in my package that had all the answers to the exam, and it clearly defined a lot of the things that I was learning. And this was something that I really didn't know. So I began to work on studying in that Q Bank. Okay, I was so scared to begin to take the exam right away, because I was thinking that if I take this exam right away, I don't think that I'm ready for it. So I think I waited at least about another month. It could have been a month, but like I said, I'll check the record later, and so I can get back with you and tell you exactly what it is. But since I'm in this talk, I ain't got time to do all that. But anyway, I think it was about a month. So after about a month, I took the test again. I'm like, oh man, I got this. I know I'm going to pass this test. So at that time when I did the test, you know what I'm saying? Oh man, I was like, oh, I got this. I I I finished the test within about an hour. I was an hour in. I think it was about an hour in. And you get 3 hours on the test. So I zoomed through that test. I'm all confident and everything. I'm like, yeah, I got this. I got this test. I ain't worried about this. So, I could have went over a lot of my answers. I could have went over, but I was so overconfident that I had this test, that what I did was I said, no, I don't need to review anything, because I already got it. You know what I'm saying? So I go up out there. I'm all excited and everything, and the lady, mm, she went and handed me my test. And I'm thinking, when she handed me my test, I'm thinking, and I forget the comment she made. I have to review that too, because I can't remember. But she made some kind of comment that really even made me think I had passed the test even more. And I think it was something that she said that I had did well. Okay, that I did well. So when I received the test exam in my hand, and I looked at it, and it said I failed, I was totally heartbroken. I'm like, oh my gosh. After all this testing, all this studying, look, I'm not gonna lie. At that particular point, I was at the point where I had tears coming in my eyes, and I wanted to cry, because I was so tired. I was just so dog tired of taking that test. Okay. So then, out of my fear that I might fail again, okay, I went into another binge of studying and studying and studying. And so my binge and studying at that particular time was, I knew that I had to be able to try to get this done before the 6 months was, because after 6 months, that means that you had to end up paying. You had to pay to be able to get those test questions so that you can continue to study them. So what I was trying to do is trying to see if I can do all the studying I can. So what I did, I studied all the way up a little bit before November, which was when my 6 months was going to be up, to take that next test. So what I did, I took the test, and then after I took that test, mm, I end up failing again. Now, since I've been into this talk so long, I think that was the part of the test where I failed by 10 points. I was totally devastated. So after I failed by 10 points, then guess what? I had to do the exam again. So since I had to do the exam again, and I think that was at the point when the 6 months was up. So since the 6 months was up, I had to call PSI. And when I called PSI, I had to then pay in order to be able to get the test questions that was in my package. I had to pay. You remember, I didn't have to pay before because I had a sponsorship. That sponsorship only lasted for 6 months. I have extended my time over the 6 months, so I had to pay out for a month. So I paid for a month of test questions, which gave me, that 30 days. So I had the time to be able to study a little bit more deeper for 30 days. So after studying, I'm telling you, at this point, I am really sick of studying. I am so tired of it. I don't know what to do. I don't want to be studying no more. I'm just totally sick. I'm sick and tired, frustrated at this particular point. But I'm still frustrated and I'm still studying. I wanted, feeling like I want to get this up, but I'm still determined. I got to get this license. Okay. So I'm studying and everything, and I got to try to do the studying and take the test before the 30 days. So I said, well, let me take this test again. So here I am. I called PCI. I said, well, I took the test and I failed it by 10 points. Hey, I got to pay again. Okay, so when can I get a test date? And I want to get the test date as soon as I can. So I didn't want to be wasting no time after I did all this testing. I didn't want to be forgetting anything that I learned and everything. So what I went and did is that I went on and took the test within that week. So I took the test. Okay, and I felt like, I'm going to pass this time. So I went and I took the test, and there was an issue with this particular test because I said, okay, well, let me go on YouTube and look around and see what other people have done when they took their test or whatever. Maybe I can get some pointers or whatever about taking this test. So I went around and I ran across this YouTube video, and it was saying that what you should do when you take the test, if you get finished early, you need to go and you need to try to review the test. And then they said most people that review the test and everything and they see something, and that's questionable, that you should change your answers. So I said, okay, that might help me with the test. So what I'll do is I won't rush through the test. I'll use all my hours, and that's what I'm going to do. So that was my game when I went to my exam. Went to my exam and everything. I got through the test maybe within about an hour, maybe an hour or less or whatever. So I said, well, now let me take the time. I don't want to do what I did before, get so overconfident and just walk out as if I done won the game. So I didn't do that this time. So what I did at that time, I was going over. I took all that time to make sure I go over the answers that I had selected. So I did all of that, going over the answers to make sure that what I selected was correct. So I was getting a little uncomfortable, so I began to change answers. So I started, changing I changed a couple of answers, and then okay, and I felt good about it at the time when I changed those answers. So I waited all my whole 3 hours, did my review, then I was confident again. I went out, mine telling me, oh, I aced this test. I'm all happy about my results. It was feeling good. But when I went out, the lady said, why did you change your answers? And she handed me my test. And I was so heartbroken when I looked at the test and I failed the test by 1 point. I have to tell you, I had a little breakdown. I stumped my feet. I was emotional. I was at the point of tears. And I was like, why did I listen to that video telling me about changing my answers? Why? Okay. So anyway, so I was so distraught about that. I went out in the hall and I sat out there for at least about an hour to try to go over and figure out why did I fail this stupid test. And I just couldn't even get up and move right to get out the building. So after my test, I ended up sitting there in total disgust for about an hour, thinking about my failure. Okay, so I said, okay, I'm not going to put a lot of time in between this. I started studying again. Okay, I called PSI. I set up an appointment to take the test that very next week. But this time I didn't go to the location that I went for the last 3 failures. I ended up going to another location only because the place that I went to, that I did all the failures, didn't have an exam test going on at that time. So I wanted to change the location. Hey, look, I ain't got time to be waiting a couple of months to be able to get to this. I need to be doing this right now. So what I did is that I went to another location and I took the test. I didn't even think about trying to change no dang on answers or anything. I went through the test, I went over it, and I went over it, and I went over it, and I went over it. Didn't know what to expect. I was hoping that I didn't fail the test again. When I went out and everything, the man handed me my results, and guess what? At that time, ooh, I passed that test. Ooh, ooh. And I asked him, I said, well, where is I wanted to see how many points or whatever. But for some reason, I guess in a test, once you pass the test, they don't tell you what your score was. Okay, that was a little strange to me. But anyway, they didn't tell me. So now, here I am. Okay, I done aced this test. Now, I'm at another point. I have to find a brokerage. Okay, well, anyway, I had already been sponsored by a broker, and the broker that I was sponsored by was Keller Williams. But through my research, I found out that it appeared that Keller Williams, they charge a heavy price, so to speak, to join their brokerage. Okay. Matter of fact, I didn't even know in the beginning that I even had to pay to be involved in a brokerage. Now that part, I didn't even know anything about that. And I was learning so many different things. People were saying you had to pay for the MLS, you had to pay for, your broker's fees, office fees, fees for marketing, fees, marketing and promotion, and I can't remember if it was you had to pay for certain trainings or what. But anyway, those fees can be kind of high, and I'm thinking, well, hey, I know I'm working, and then I got to end up paying all these monthly fees. And so then I was finding out that there are so many brokerages that have so many different types of commission splits. Okay, so then I was in a dilemma about, okay, I need to find a broker that can give me the things that I need, give me the right help. So I began to go on YouTube and find out the questions that I needed to ask so that I can make sure that I get the right broker. Could I get someone to shadow me? Could I get someone to teach me about going out and negotiating the various different deals with the clients, to go over contracts, to go over the types of contracts that will be used in the business. And it was kind of heartbreaking. I'm going to tell you, when I found out that becoming an agent means that it's not your deal, that is the broker's deal. Not your deal, the broker's deal. So you're really working for the broker. So even if you bring somebody in, you're getting nothing from that. You know, that's not your deal, that's the broker's deal. Okay, you're getting a commission, a part of a commission from that, but the broker shares in that deal. You know, that was a kind of bummer for me, really, you know. But anyway, it is what it is. And upon learning, and then I did find out that once you get into the business, you get to be under a broker for 3 years before you can become a broker yourself. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a bummer, but hey, it is what it is. So anyway, I wanted to make sure that if I get with a broker, that I would get with the right broker. And then that, trying to find a broker was really more stressful than I thought, and thinking about what I got to come out of pocket with. And if I come out of pocket, am I really going to get with a brokerage that could service me and give me the things that I need in order to help me to become a good real estate agent, to help me to become knowledgeable, to give me the training and necessary training that I need. So I began to go to various different functions with realtors and people in the industry, and I began to collect a lot of business cards and flyers and different things like that. And at one of the real estate uh, um, functions that I went to, where I met the young lady who actually, well, she actually didn't come to me to tell me about Keller Williams, but what it was is that I asked her, I said, well, how is it that I would be able to get into this? I said, because this real estate is something that I would really be able to get into. And so she suggested to me Keller Williams. And she also was telling me that what Keller Williams agency that she belonged to. Then she was telling me about certain agencies you had to pay for parking, paying for office space, paying for franchise fees, paying for marketing and promotion, paying fees for commission of splits to the brokerage. And I'm like, you know what? I can't quit my day job on this one, because I got all these fees to pay, and I got monthly fees to pay, and then somebody else was telling me about I had to pay for MLS fees and for certain membership fees. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying, well, look, I had to pay to live. I got to pay for my apartment. I got to pay for my bills. I'm like, it's not quite like I thought. And then as I thought about that, I said, well, I guess a lot of brokers would be interested in letting me be a part of their team. Well, they could make money, but I won't be, it appears, making any money right away. So my question was then, okay, if I'm going to go with a broker, do they offer leads? because if I got to be paying out all this money, then I need a brokerage that could offer leads. So I started calling around and I started talking to people, and they sound like they don't offer any leads. And like, I got to get my own leads. Okay. And so I'm saying, okay, I got to pay. I got to get my own leads. I got to pay to live or whatever. Where is all of this, going to be coming from if I am not haven't been trained like I need to be trained to be able to close any deals? And if I get with a brokerage, are they going to shadow me? And so when I find out, a lot of people didn't sound like they would want to do much of shadowing anything. And all I was really hearing in my mind is all these fees, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm in the real estate. I want to break away from working, so that I can be able to work full time as a real estate agent. So my fear set in, and the fear is making the selection of what kind of broker that is good for me. So I had went to another event and I saw a lady on stage, and I had happened to call her some time ago when I was trying to locate a building for my event space. And upon dealing with that endeavor and not being able to find a location with parking, ample parking that would